nothing to say about KT, so let's talk about Ever8 and Afreeca.
All right, let's go ahead, jump straight into picking bans here for game number 1. See what is going to happen, because there's been a lot of shakeups. The new Doran Shield coming out, really taking away the effectiveness of the likes of Zyra in the bottom lane. So could be a big shakeup. We've also seen a lot of priority around Thresh.
Let's play a game. How many Doran Shield will we see today? Achilles. Now, of course, you have to estimate how many matches we'll see. I'm going to guess we're going to see 16 Doran Shield minimum today. It's such a popular item. 80 carries, top laners, even situationally for support if you can put your item build behind. But we can return to that in a moment.
I'll keep a tally for you.
That's good. I need my Doran Shield tally. The item power level is too damn high for that Doran Shield.
That might consume all my time, so you might have to, do play-by-play and color at the same time.
I'm a flex caster. Don't worry about it. I got
Perfect.
this. So bans here, Elise has been really interesting. It's actually been pretty high priority so far. I don't know if that's necessarily the power level of AD solo laners that's pushing up the Elise pick rate, because of course, one of the things Elise brings is magic damage from the jungle, which can be unique. Kennen so far has been permanently banned, and more interestingly, in ban phase 1, we've had Syndra and Zac permaban. The Fiora and Kennen bans have actually come in the second round, so far neither of them has been targeted, and you have to feel, given that 4 teams yesterday thought they were at perma-pick status, they will be heavily contested if left open.
For sure. Jace going to be the second ban, followed up here for Afreeca. As we flip back over to Ever8, running down the clock, last couple seconds coming through, and it will be Zac, so another one of those 100% banned champions coming through.
Does Kuro feel like he has an answer to the Syndra? Could be a potential first pick, even if that seems like a bit of a reach. Syndra's seen no changes since 7.8, which was the patch we were at on MSI. We are now on 7.10, so the live patch, at least for today. I imagine 7.11's dropping pretty soon. Rumble's going to be banned against Helper, even though Marin is perhaps the most famous Rumble in Korea. Helper's actually a really good Rumble in his own right, by far the best in Challenger, probably a top 5 Rumble player in LCK. So he sees that, and now Marang, with both Graves and Lee Sin available, will be able to choose between the two if they do want to select a jungler at first pick, and first picking for their young prodigy. Cool to see.
All right, I'm fully in support of this one, so Balrog hopefully going to be showing off with that Lee Sin. We saw Umti actually having some pretty decent performances on it just yesterday. Let's see how Balrog's going to fare going up against that veteran of Spirit. But for now, we flip over to Afreeca Freecs for their first pick. And Thresh, something that I mentioned, very high priority, seeing this first pick by MVP yesterday, will come through so far for Tuesday.
And I imagine a lot of fans are, looking at patch notes, trying to work out why is Thresh right at the top? Why is Thresh being first pick, first ban, as it was in the first series yesterday? I might have to hold that point, because Nidalee has seen a lot of play over in solo queue recently.
But it's Spirit. There's the Olaf.
We will see some Nidalee going forward in this season. Cuz hit rank 1, spamming Nidalee. All the big Nidalee players are playing it again, so a bit of a preview of the future. But the reason we're seeing Thresh is because a lot of the lane bullies, Malzahar, Lulu, and also the Karma, are hugely indirectly nerfed by Doran's Shield and the regen you get whenever you're harassed. Often a Zyra plant will actually heal you up over time because it refreshes the Doran's Shield passive. So melee supports and champions like Thresh, who have not been affected by Doran's Shield because you're an all-in, you're not looking to harass necessarily in the same pace. Basically, if you're a non-ranged harass pattern laner, you've been very much buffed in this patch, and that's why we see Tahm Kench as the answer to the pick power of Thresh.
Yeah, and with the Caitlyn Hover coming through here for Duel, can already go ahead and suspect that we're going to see our first Doran Shield come out from Kramer in that bottom lane.
But you might be surprised to know that even Caitlyn's are going Doran's Shield. That's the one champion be like, oh, wait, why not go Doran's Blade? You know, I expect to take too much harass as a long-range laner. The opinion in Korea is that Doran's Shield in every way outclasses Doran's Blade, that there's no merit to picking up Doran's Blade, and that Doran's Shield, with the damage to minions, along with all the safe sides, is powerful. As we see our first Fiora, which has frequently been banned in the second round, so had to be taken here. Fiora is another person indirectly buffed by the Doran's Shield. Permaban in solo queue, permaban in professional play, beats all the traditional tanks. Very hard to get a good matchup into Fiora, and if you can get through those early levels, get more points into your queue, get access to your ultimate, and Doran's Shield, it feels like, does that, then Fiora can be obnoxious. So Marin gonna blind pick the Fiora in the first round. Last season it was the Rumble and the Maokai, now it's the Fiora, so guess what? Summer's heating up.
Yeah, we get our first pick for it already as the next wave of bans come through. GP focused out here for the top lane to give Marin some breathing room.
And that's what you can do. When you do pick it as the last pick on red side in the first round, you can double ban top lane champions to deal with it. Renekton's another one you could consider as a ban. That's another champion that does pretty well against Fiora, but of course can get outscaled as well. Will just be the single ban onto the Gangplank and returning to normalcy with a LeBlanc ban. Not necessarily a champion that's found too much success.
So what do we see from Ever8 then? Do they go for a mid lane ban or do they focus out the ADC pool?
You do worry that if they don't ban Syndra here, then they'll just take Syndra, and then there's not that many great answers to Syndra either. So Afreeca are in a really good spot here. They're going to be happy, and Kalista.
Somebody's been doing their research.
Exactly. Both of us were looking at op.gg and seeing that Kramer had been spanning Kalista. A lot of AD carries. Even talking to people at MSI, people said Kalista Thresh every game, just lock it in, would be the meta for summer. It's going to be denied here. So we'll have to take something into the Caitlyn. Could be something.
Whoa!
Well, okay. All right. Afreeca's just going full solo queue here.
All right.
Great answer to the Caitlyn in a vacuum is Draven. And they're just looking for lane power in every way they can get it, just taking Draven into Caitlyn.
You know, I mean, I'm sure a lot of people turning on the stream, they're just like, man, I really can't wait for that Samsung SKT game to happen. Like, Ever8, they're a new team. But this is really heating up the pick and ban right now. Draven, Fiora, Olaf locked in for the Afreeca Freecs, and now Shen actually making a return for Helper.
To be clear, no one was talking about Draven. Draven is clearly something that Kramer's cooked up. He's always had that interesting champion pool. They are leaving open the Syndra. Now, let me tell you another champion Afreeca have been cooking up. Kuro has been playing a lot of Kassadin in solo queue. Very risky lane into Syndra early, but like a lot of those Kassadin lanes, you can potentially overwhelm. So if they feel like they have enough power in other lanes, we could see it here. Will be a very risky draft, but so much going on in this game already, and most of it on the side of Afreeca Freecs.
I mean, the one thing that is also available that we saw a bit more conventionally going into the Syndra is going to be the Fizz in the mid lane.
Sure.
So recently, you know, kind of tuned more towards being AP.
Has the same problem as Kassadin. It will just be a more reliable choice. It will just be the Taliyah, another champion that Afreeca have shown they have prowess with. Kuro had some really good games on the Taliyah throughout the course of Spring Split, so they wanted a bit of safety somewhere. They've already gone kind of all in their lanes. Draven needs to get ahead. Fiora plays much better from ahead, so Afreeca Freecs mixing it up, and it feels like they've used their off-season time in pretty trademark fashion, and Marin bringing back an old favorite. He was a legacy Fiora player in and out of meta, just like his Rumble and Renekton, and we get to see some duels up top.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you mentioned duels, but a duel on the side of Ever8, we had the pleasure of talking with the team, and you specifically asked him about Draven. What is your opinion on Draven? And he said, I don't think that it's good right now. His first match in LCK, he's got to go up against it from Kramer on the other side of the rift.
Well, I mean, you know, you ask pro players about their opinions. Sometimes they lie to you. In this case, it's going to be a surprise, however, it is a bit of a surprise to see Shen. His power level is probably lower than ever, but it's kind of a containment lane into the Fiora Ninja Tabi. But a lot of the other armor itemization is pretty heavily nerfed. You know, now sure, you get more armor, but you get less health, so overall it feels like you lose out on a lot of power. So very interesting to track how Shen will do it, what sort of containment job he'll do. And Kramer's going full aggression. He's channeling his LMS days, not the Wits End Lucian this time.
Yeah.
It's Draven, we have not seen all of 2017. We get about one Draven a season, and we're starting early.
I mean, I think the last time we saw it was Arrow on KT last year. And that didn't go so well, so maybe Kramer can have a bit of a turnaround performance for Draven as a champion. It's definitely gonna need it as we take a look. More ARG for your eyes. And we'll just zoom in and get a nice little overview look of Summoner's Rift and where these guys are gonna end up going. Let's go ahead and load up for game number one. And here we go, back to Summoner's Rift. It's been quite a while here, Papa Smithy, for me. I know you were over at MSI, so you got plenty of League of Legends goodness. But for me, it's been since that promotion tournament, so good to be back.
Ever8 invading the red side jungle to cut off the pleasantries just because they want to find Olaf and stop his jungling path. Olaf's traditionally start blue, but you do try and get frisky and go for other paths that you feel like you can be greedy. Afreeca Freecs fans in the audience. 5 p.m. local time on a weekday.
Some Ever8 winners fans here as well, so good to see that for this new budding organization.
And we're at 3, by the way, so get that tally started. 3 Doran shields so far.
All right.
Duel actually go on the risky route. Again, a lot of people say that even on Caitlyn, Doran shield outclasses the Blade. I doubt we'll get too much insight into, well, that would have affected him during the laning phase, but we'll check in if we can. Both junglers spotted, so interesting that both junglers are aware of the Raptor start. We'll see if Kuro is able to steal away any of those small Raptors. You can deny level 2 if you're able to do so.
Looks like he's just looking for some harass here on Decepted. Well timed, had that ward near the Raptor pit, so just chunks him out a little bit. Doesn't quite get that Thunderlords, but already you can see Helper Trust trying to play back away from Marn as much as he possibly can.
We got a bit greedy in Champion Select, hoping for a Kassadin or a Fizz coming through from Kuro. One of the reasons not to do that is they would have really no AoE wave clear whatsoever. So in essence, Kuro was kind of forced to counterpick himself. He's doing the team thing here. It's utility in one way just because they need some sort of wave push if things go bad, and that's kind of where the Taliyah fits into this comp.
This also gives him a bit more consistent AP damage because, I mean, before the Taliyah came through, it was nothing but AD. It's all going to be on the back of Kuro to pump out that magic damage. So this does offer up a bit more consistency in that regard. But for now, just going to be trading back and forth a bit here in that bottom lane. Doran's shield going to help Kramer be topped up as he just keeps stacking up for that big cash in if you get a kill. Hook comes through, lands straight onto Duel, but that's what the Tahm Kench is for. Goes ahead, noms him up, Ella keeping his ADC safe.
Yeah, not until you get some items will there actually be enough AD to just turn onto the Tahm Kench and burn him down. So for now at least, that play pattern will return. Speaking of play patterns, Marn and Helper both falling pretty low in top lane, but Doran's shield being 400 gold, that's kind of the buff that doesn't get talked about. Is taking 50 gold off gets you an extra potion. So an item that was already for sustaining through tricky lanes
gets you that much more. Gives
you more regen with the new passive, and then gets you an extra biscuit or just a potion depending on where you're speccing in terms of your masteries. And lets you get Fiora through lane. Maybe you'll even let Draven get through if he's chunked out with a non-sustained support. So extra sustain opens up a lot of new picks, and again, a lot of people looked at the patch and they're like, okay, some tank items have changed, but I reckon we're going to see the same meta. It's not the same meta anymore.
Yep. Hook comes through, they get the play down onto Ella, work him at about 50% HP, but Kramer not really there. Fully chunk him out.
Somehow Tahm Kench can make Thresh lanes less interesting. Feels bad, man.
Tahm Kench can make a lot of things less interesting. Ashe just doesn't do anything. Varus, negate all of it.
Not as strong against Blitzcrank that we saw from Max yesterday.
Yeah, that's very true.
More Blitzcrank, please.
The birthday Blitzcrank.
I wonder if MVP will continue to have just their own champion pool, or whether people will start picking up some of the champions they enjoy. Sejuani and Blitzcrank were the two that spring to mind from yesterday.
The Blitz was good. Sejuani could use some work, you'd have to say, from ADD, but overall, her newfound tankiness is absolutely ridiculous.
Well, she can also push, you know. The W does allow line wave clear, so I can see why she's being played top, and if you can get away with a Sejuani with a pick comp, then you've got a frontliner who also can initiate. So I definitely understand the theory, but like you say, need to see other top laners pick it up before we really get a good idea.
Curious if it's something we'll see in the support role. I know that was mentioned. We've seen it a bit in
It's
solo
Max.
queue,
We're definitely going to see it in the support role.
Yeah, I feel like if anybody's going to do it,
he has to top himself from his spring hijinks with his massive champion pool.
The Scion was still just...
the quadra-kill Scion.
Yeah, against KT rosters.
Can we just never talk of that again? Let's pretend it didn't happen. I know some people really liked it. It made me sad.
It was a magical moment, you'd have to say.
Was it in a hashtag LCK big play?
It should have been.
We don't have that hashtag, just to be clear. If anyone on Twitter wants to make it, that's fine.
I'm curious if that actually... I wonder if that actually made the Penta series. It might have.
It would, I imagine. It definitely made the LCK super plays that OGN runs.
It was definitely a super play. But slow and steady as she goes so far here.
A lot of nerves on the side of Ever8, so I can understand.
Oh, for sure.
No big playmaking in the early game. Even Malrang has largely been stymied, but Lee Sin can be a level 6 jungler if you so choose. Lanes he has to gank for are good on the CC side, but until level 6, especially in mid lane,
check the brush.
Don't quite have the damages. Nope, not going to check the brush.
Well, he's just going to be in vision. Spotted out. Had the first backs come through there from Septed and Kuro. So you're just going to be that Merc Treads here for the side of the Taliyah. Lost Chapter or Septed. So nothing too shocking.
One item we will most likely see on the Taliyah that continues in the trend of item indirect nerfs is going to be the Banshee Veil, you'd imagine. Banshee Veil, if you guys haven't been keeping up, is no longer a tank item, very much an AP itemization. Blasting Wand, Fiendish Codex, and just a null magic mantle is the build path there. May lead to interesting cases where mid laners will go double Doran's Ring into double null magic mantle because, you know, you loved sitting on the Negatron cloak in the past, but Negatron doesn't really build into any offensive itemization outside of Wit's End now, so less of a pick. Here comes Kuro.
There we go. Yeah, that's going to be a gank coming up the top lane. Kuro and Spirit here. Jump on top of Helper. The wall's there. Nowhere for him to go. That's first blood over to Afreeca Freecs as Taliyah picks it up.
Nice roam from Kuro. Spirit as well. Team of one mind. Good to see. Sort of a razor-sharp preparation that we're hoping for.
Really just no vision there for Helper. Nothing in the Tri-Brush or in the River Brush. Now Ella trying to get aggressive here onto Kramer, but Dark Passage is going to be there to take him out to safety.
When Tucson was on IM, Thresh was his best champion. It was cool to see people like Gorilla, other famous Threshers, get to pick up that champion again. I said it during Champion Select, but with the Doran's Shield really dealing with the harass heavy laners like Malzahar and Lulu, Karma, does feel like Thresh has jumped up in priority. Kind of the theme. Like, there was direct nerfs and buffs in this patch, but it feels like items, and specifically Doran's Shield, has changed the game more than gutting a champion ever could.
What's the likelihood we see the return of Leona?
I mean, it really is a possibility. Leona's so all-in, doesn't have a ranged auto attack, that it's less likely, but it was hovered during yesterday's series, so there's a chance, but I'm not willing to put a percentage on it just yet.
Septed and Malrong going for a bit of a stroll here through Afreeca Freecs' jungle, but they're spotted out by wards. Plenty of vision thrown down here for the red side squad, so not going to find anything for now. Just slipping a bit further behind, 1,200, 1,100 gold at the moment. In the lead is Afreeca, and Marin just going to go ahead and bait onto that blue buff and take this out by himself.
Just trying to be a jerk. As the harass extends in bot lane. Afreeca's going to be playing a true 4-1 comp here. Marin will be expected to pick up 2 items and then just have kill pressure on Shen. Black Cleaver and either Ravenous Hydra or Titanic will be the itemization for the Fiora. Whereas Ever8 have a really good siege setup, but it's fun when the identities are kind of contrasting because Ever8 really do want to be able to go for the 4-man commitment to mid, but if Fiora's got kill pressure on Shen, that's not going to work out so well.
We're going to have a bit of a clash here as the blue buff started up by Spirit. Marin did back off. Now Malrong coming around the side, does not have the smite, will not be able to take this away, and throws in to back him up. Malrong, does he want to pursue this? As the Stand United coming through, dashes forward, gets on top of Spirit, and he gets taken out. Septed finding the kill now, slowing up Kuro with that newfound red buff. Raven's ultimate comes through, not going to find the connection from home base. So won't get much damage down. Just going to be the 1-for-0 in favor of Ever8. They put a kill on the board.
Big mistake there from Tucson. He actually shorted on the W. The Dark Passage didn't go over the Raptor wall, so had to actually flash over to get to the W. Did Kuro, so that was actually a very large mistake, adding an extra summoner to the woes of Spirit being taken down. Nice collapse from Ever8.
Yeah, and now they're just looking for more in the mid lane. Sonic Wave comes through, kick back on the Dragon's Rage. Kuro goes down, and Septed finds a second kill, nicely executed by Malrong.
Cleanly Sin is a meme, but Malrong is one of the cleanest Achilleos. Super nice on the kick flash there. Was it necessary? That part I can't 100% tell you, but sometimes better to be flashy than it is to be necessary, so I'll give him the benefit of the doubt.
Nicely done by him. Maybe getting that confidence up now with his big debut on the LCK stage.
Yeah, Ever8 collapsed really well onto Afreeca, who honestly showed their hand. The Olaf was very visibly taking the blue buff for the longest time, and then the collapse was pretty inevitable, didn't respect the Stand United coming through, so good to see again a challenger team come in, not be awed by the situation, start slow certainly, but be ready to fight when the opportunity opened up, and Kuro not having flash and pushing up like he did was ripe to be punished. Nice stuff from Malrong and Septed.
Yeah, and very good for Helper to go ahead and put an assist on the board because, I mean, top lane's not been the most fun for him. Meantime, Septed getting chunked out quite low here. Also out that sphere. Just answers a little bit of damage down onto Kuro.
2 kills going on to Septed means that once Caitlyn hits that itemization spike, maybe even just Zeal Infinity Edge, setting up around mid lane before Fiora actually has kill pressure on Shen, will be very effective for Ever8. If you even threaten Kuro getting below half, they have no wave clear, so a lot to take advantage of. Trading patterns continue in bot, but once again, Doran's Shield will make this less interesting over time.
Not doing a whole lot here. Kramer's still just stacking up where he can. Be a very big cash and also a very big loss should he die before he could get those stacks pushed forward. Balrog coming over the backside of the pit, gets picked up that Infernal Drake. So another objective here on the board for Ever8 alongside those 2 kills that they got. So have really shrunk down that gold lead that had built up for Afreeca Freecs. So in a very nice spot.
It feels like the tipping point of the game coming soon.
Seismic shove not going to connect, so should be the end of that one there. Septic could just go ahead and pull right back down the river. Had is Lee Sin waiting in the wings.
Now we see pings onto Rift Herald. We actually only saw a single Rift Herald taken yesterday, despite a lot of pro teams I've talked about, really talking about how strong it is, how it really can warp games, especially when teleport is down from a top laner, but only KT picking it up and then misusing it with pawn going down means that we're still waiting for more information on if Rift Herald will be kind of a joke objective like it was for a lot of the last year and a half, or if it will really be a contested objective. For now, you can look at the vision and say, sure, there's a couple of wards around the Rift Herald, but it certainly doesn't have the same sort of respect as an Infernal Drake draws. So still more data points needed to really understand the Rift Herald in pro play.
It seems like it's just a bit too big of an investment at the moment because you need so many people to try to take that out in a timely fashion. It's a bit too risky.
It has warped a little bit. You know, in previous seasons you needed to, and they both get super low and have to recall. Now, if you have a jungle item as a Graves, you can solo it. So it does less damage. It is faster to take, but still a lot to learn about it as an objective.
Oh, that's going to be the flash forward here. Unleash Power comes through. They get the stun. And that's going to be the resonating strike from Malrong straight in underneath the turret. They find another kill.
So the mechanics there were really cool to see. He opened with the ultimate, so he definitely hit a stun. And when the stun registered, no chance you can miss the Q. So that was not fishing for a Q and then stunning. That was leading with the ultimate because they knew that the CC was enough because there was no way Malrong was going to miss that Q.
Yeah, and they also knew the Crow didn't have a flash, so there's no way for him to avoid that stun coming through from the Scatter of the Week. So very well executed and communicated from the side of Ever8. They put another kill on the board, giving Crow his second death, and they pick up the first brick. And
the communication side is perhaps the most important one, Achilles, because we see, even at the top level, low synergy between mid laners and junglers. They're not always on the same page, even though they really do open up the mid game by being able to roam to other lanes and play together. So seeing Malrong and Septed on their LCK stage debut have that sort of synergy is a really heartening one for Ever8 moving forward.
And that was the big thing that we touted for them during the promotion tournament. It was about the communication between those two members in particular. Playing around Helper was something that came out during the promotion tournament. We knew going into it that Septed and Malrong had this very good synergy between them, and they're just displaying it already day one in LCK.
And if you missed it, Malrong was born on the 9th of February 2000, the first player ever to play competitive League of Legends here in the LCK, born in the year 2000. So he's definitely listening to his youngs. I imagine he's not doing too much shot calling himself. Korea is a very age hierarchical system at the best and worst of times, so whoever's initiating it, it is very clean between Malrong and Septed so far.
Yep, nicely done. That's going to be the swap coming through here as Duel and Ella make their way up towards this top lane, just trying to give Marin a little bit of trouble. But in the meantime, Spirit joining his bottom lane. Got under this turret. Malrong here to back him up as they try to get some damage down. But the wave thinned out considerably. Means they're going to have to kite back a little bit, delay this take on the turret. Meanwhile, Helper all on his own, some down in the bottom lane. Dravenel not going to connect, but it doesn't really matter. Kramer still comes up with the kills, has to pop the heal, so he doesn't go down to the turret, but gets that cash in.
Don't really understand a Shen walking up to 3 other members with no wave clear. Sunfire Cape's certainly not going to do the work. You do understand why Ever8 has initiated the swap, though, because now they have the inside track onto Herald if they want it. Malrong's going to start it. You can see that soloing it for the Lee Sin is not a tricky thing to do. They took the Drake, then rotated bot lane when Draven had a bigger item buy than Caitlyn, so they miss out on there being an awkward laning phase, and they also pick up Rift Herald. So from an objective standpoint, sure, Helper died, but overall, it's a trade up for Ever8. And now we're talking about 2 strategic times where Ever8 has shown strategic flexibility and innovation over the level of Afreeca Freecs.
Kramer starting to stack up those items, got the kill, got that cash in coming through, gives him about 1,100 gold over top of Duel. So Bloodthirster first item, and then just going to be following up with that rapid fire cannon by the look of things.
The Bloodthirster first for Kramer is basically a standard Draven build. Even when Draven was last in the meta, you'll remember the build was something along the lines of BT Last Whisper, because crit strike, while it is strong, doesn't affect the Q base damage. So basically, the idea here for the Draven is that you're going to be very much in 500 range often, because you are often just using your W aggressively. So you need to be able to out-sustain the damage you're receiving. So with a build like this, with the overshield, the hope is that he can run at Syndra, and even if he takes a round of damage, still be able to lifesteal through it and have kill pressure. He's certainly not going to be sitting at the back like Caitlyn. He's getting into close ranges. Our first Rift Herald summon of the day comes through, and for now it's only Draven Thresh. And remember, this is a very low wave clear comp from the side of Afreeca.
Yeah, that's going to be the turret going down there. A lot of damage being put forward onto the Rift Herald, plus that charge that comes through. Some crits hitting there from Kramer. Helps take it down, so just get the one turret for its troubles.
I mean, it gets them out of a laning phase with Draven, so that part is fine, but it's certainly not the 2 or 3 turrets that is possible with Rift Herald. So still evaluating whether that was a good Rift Herald use. I mean, it was a more effective one than KT, so best Rift Herald of the LCK so far.
Hot
but
damn,
I feel like we'll look back on these days and kind of laugh about the misuses of Herald, just like when we look back at things like Insect's kick flashes and realize what the potential would be in years to come.
Well, Ever8, you know, they get rid of that bottom lane turret. This opens up the map from a little bit, especially around this dragon, where they go ahead and start this up. 50% comes through, but that's going to be the Weaver's Wall thrown down by Kuro. The TP coming through from Mar, and as they re-engage the dragon, might just have to come down to the steal from Malrong, but actually has to walk up into this one. Already used a Sonic Wave, tries to go over the wall with the dash, but will not be able to find it. Big Dragon's Rage comes through, gets a knock-up triple coming out of that one, and that's just going to be the disengage from them.
It was a good disengage from Ever8. Now they're trying to walk through. They want to get to wave clear in mid lane and not lose further objectives. Objective claimed from Afreeca, so that vindicates the use of the teleport. Now the turret's full health. It's going to start getting low.
Wave clear, decent from the side of Ever8, however, have that Caitlyn, have the Syndra. Try to push through those minions, so they deny a lot of damage coming through for Afreeca Freecs onto that tier 1 turret in mid.
Drawing the teleport from Marin is a small win for Ever8. Marin really wants to be split pushing, but now no longer has the grouping threat of the double globals of Shen.
I mean, look how stacked Marin is at the moment, though. Black Cleaver completed, has the Tiamat, the call cashed in, and it's just to the Sunfire Cape of Helper, which is nerfed.
Yeah, Sunfire Cape, especially on the damage to champions, is kind of laughable now. Does push pretty decently. Was kind of always the original identity, but
It's more bonus damage to minions, but
yeah.
As far as helping him take down Marin, it's going to be a far cry.
Let's be real. He's not going to be taking down Marin unless someone else is doing 95% of the damage. But even dueling against Marin is it's a containment job. Basically, he just wants to stand next to Marin and not have all his turrets fall down. That part for now is irrelevant, but I mean, it's happening off screen, especially when the Tiamat evolution comes through and he chooses between Titanic and Ravenous Hydra. Let's see how long Helper can actually stand in front of Marin and stop him melee auto-attacking down turrets.
See now, Afreeca, despite having that turret disadvantage, still coming out with a lead, matching at least a Drake. Mountain Drake going to be a nice one to go forward. Really going to just impact that split push from Marin, make it that much more effective in the side lanes. But even with that turret deficit, still find themselves in a gold advantage.
And can they get the vision on the map to open up what Ever8 want to be doing, which is going to be those sieges? Marin has no mana, probably a lot of gold he's standing on, so for now, you can see that, well, Helper's build is buffed in one way. If you go Tiamat and Sunfire Cape and don't die, you will be pushing faster than previous iterations of this Shen build. So now it doesn't feel kill pressure
comes
mid.
through. That's going to be the ultimate thrown out. Barrier pop by Kuro. Helps keep himself alive. Not sure if he would have died, but still, both summoner spells burned out by the Afreeca Freecs mid laner. So good catch from Septon.
Good catch, but as you say, no kill. I don't think he would have died even if barrier wasn't used, but obviously not to know at that time.
It was really close, so better safe than sorry, but that just means that Kuro's going to be that much more susceptible to being ganked. Speaking of which, Spirit tries to run at the Syndra, but Malrong there to back him up. Yet again, the synergy between these two on point. They take him out. That's going to be the blue buff handed over to Septon.
You can kind of ask the question, why was Spirit there? There was no one else on that side of the map. Marin was still coming from base. They'd never prepped vision in the area. So even Spirit's ultimate was not going to be anywhere near enough to take him out of harm's way. And just another free kill kind of passed over to Ever8.
Nice little pickups, and I mean, Afreeca, they need to tighten things up. Had the lead, now being matched by Ever8. So they keep handing over these minor objectives, these kills to the side. especially Septed. He's just going to get more powerful on this Syndra and can suddenly, you know, basically 100-0 just about anybody that's not Spirit.
Tucson caught, looking for a pick. They also have Marin coming up.
Pitching down from below, dashes forward, gets in on top of Balrog, at least for the start,
Okay.
but Tucson walking in by himself gets absolutely destroyed by the Syndra. Now Ever8 going to seek to turn this one around. Balrog throws out that Sonic Wave, lands it onto Koro, but it's a bit too hairy for him to dash forward with the Resonating Strike. He'll say, you know what, we got our pick, let's go ahead, kite back, spend this newfound gold.
Yeah, the game plan here from Afreeca is a bit haphazard because they have the cash in on Draven. What they're setting up for, what you can see initially is the plan, is that Draven goes top lane with just a little bit of coverage from Thresh, who of course can be out of vision and just throw the Dark Passage, and basically no one can duel the Draven when he has 2 items this early, and Marin splitting against the Shen. They want to run a 1-3-1 in many ways, so they just need ward coverage to be able to do that. Instead, they don't really have good defensive vision on top or bot side, and now they're looking for picks. This is Marin coming up for a pick, even though they're strongest in a 1-3-1, and Tucson's like, okay, I'll come up with the pick, I'll get the catch on one side against Shen ultimate and a Syndra who's fed, and, well, Tucson's dead.
Yeah, he goes down rather quickly, so not very tanky is that Thresh at the moment.
I mean, the way you play this comp, again, get coverage, continue to split, and force something to give. Force Shen to react and then profit in another lane. If you kind of just run top and run bot with fed people and then get ganked or make bad mistakes, this comp will look like it's susceptible when, in reality, Afreeca should have 2 pressure points. A Draven with 2 items and a Fiora who's very close to 2 items herself.
Definitely some hiccups here for the game plan of the Afreeca Freecs. For now, Ever8 pushing forward into the enemy jungle, looking for some forward vision in and around this Baron. Duel just laying down the trap line in case somebody were to walk forward.
Pretty hard to face check for the side of Afreeca Freecs. They have good Baron vision for now, but both wards are controlled.
Yeah, the one about to expire, so going to be completely blind inside the pit even further.
And who's face checking? Marin isn't going to be tanky enough to do that. Olaf has tried some
We saw how well that went.
And both Tucson and Spirit will be taken down pretty quickly. No magic resist on either.
Yeah.
So unless they have eyes on Syndra, warding's actually pretty tough to do for Afreeca Freecs.
Already the stun coming through. Spirit gets chunked down to half HP just from the rotations there in the Sonic Wave. So bad times for the Olaf.
It's got Knight's Vow as a second item, so have to imagine that's to allow either Draven or Fiora to be that frontliner. But it's kind of a 5v5 choice on a team that doesn't really want to be 5v5.
Yeah.
5v5ing, that sounded incredibly hard to say for some reason. And they just haven't been able to push wards. You know, they've been wrestling with vision around the Baron, so that means that Drake is completely free for the side of Ever8.
Yep, so they'll be able to match Mountain alongside their Infernal. Still very close game at the moment, though. 1.1 thousand gold. One team fight to change the entire pace of this.
Big CS advantages on Syndra on the side of Ever8 as expected, given the self-counter pick by Kuro. But Marin has that same advantage in the top lane on the side of Afreeca. So whichever team sets up better, whether it's Ever8 around sieges, which for so far they've been very good at setting up vision and playing methodically, then Ever8 will have the advantage. If they can actually get the coverage from Marin, who you notice is completely blind in terms of vision in the bot lane, then Afreeca Freecs can also get a lot of advantage. So he's at that 2-item point. Let's see if we do actually get on screen the first trades between him and Shen, because Marin's 2 levels up and plenty of items.
So Duel's walking forward. Chunk starting to come through here from Kramer. Answers to that 90 caliber net. Now that Stand United coming down onto the Caitlyn, but it's not going to be in time. He already gets taken out. The kill goes over to Spirit. Ella going low, gets taken out. The cash in coming through from Kramer. Big burst of gold over to the Draven. And now Afreeca Freecs finding 2 kills. Do they want to turn over onto this Baron? Still very early on, 25.5 minutes just about. Seems like they'll go ahead and gain vision priority at least. Septed keeps them busy, lands the stun in onto Koro, chunks them down quite a bit. Will they turn over for this? Looks like the answer is going to be yes. Everybody piling in. Marin waiting over the wall to come in from behind. TP's going to be burned out here by Helper, trying to join in. Throws out that
nice turn.
Unleash power, finds the first kill in onto Tucson. Now Septed running for his life. Grand challenge was thrown down. The kickback comes through from the Dragon Rage, but Marin dashes forward, completes the challenge, finds the kill in onto the Syndra. And the rest of Ever8 have to kite back, but the Baron gets halted.
Oh, the Baron Seesaw was so cool to watch, Achilles. The moment that we saw Septed open up, got the first kill onto Tucson, but nice turns we're going to see the long replay here. And the first thing to take away is that Syndra is accounted for. Syndra was already seen mid lane. They don't have to respect her power. And that means Kramer can get frisky. That means they can look for picks in a scenario that's hard to recreate because usually Syndra will be grouped with her team. So they start up the Baron. That's the big objective they want to claim with the 2 picks. But Syndra's the one with all the gold. And Syndra's only job here truly is to stop the Baron going down, which happens. There was some nice flashy mechanics in this. Good flash away onto Tucson, takes him down. Kick from Marang was good too. But Maran's positioning, he spent so long waiting to get in the back line. He took down Scepter, and that meant there was never going to be no true turn, and it ends up being pretty much a 50-50 between the teams.
All in all, 3 for 2, I believe, across the board with Jewel and Ella going down. But they get the stop on that Baron. That was going to be the biggest thing for them. So still a bit of a win here for Ever8, even though the gold spills just a little bit into the hands of Afreeca Freecs. 1,000 up just about at the moment. Still,
oh, look at Kramer,
such a close game.
Kramer crashed in for a second time.
Oh, Lord.
He is incredibly fed. He is basically Syndra. He has the same pick power, doesn't have CC apart from the stand aside, but he does very comparable damage and can from there have the lifesteal to continue fighting. So the game plan here for both teams is either answer Syndra or answer the Draven.
I mean, 2-0-2, you wouldn't normally call that fed, but because of the distance between those kills, the amount of stacks that he's been able to accrue, the cash-ins are just so considerably large.
And the edge is cheaper, so much more achievable now at 200 gold less.
Has gone down, Tucson getting stunned up again. The Q comes through, chunked down Kuro as well on the backside. Takes quite a bit of damage. He's able to trade a little bit back with that threaded volley.
His wall.
His wall does come through. Malrong and Duel tucked in underneath the turret, but they do have the Shen here to try to back them up. Hook comes through, in onto the Lee Sin, goes low, but the Devour's there from Ella. Try to keep him alive. Afreeca Freecs almost have the pick, but they can't quite find it. They'll go ahead and peel back.
Yeah, Marang pulled away, so they know the jungler won't be there. Afreeca can move close to the Baron, at least clear vision if they want to, but it seems like Marang's more interested in renewing the split push. Both teams so close to actually executing on their win conditions, but good picks so far from Afreeca have stopped Ever8 from kind of overwhelming this game with their strong siege setups. Still a problem though, you see it on the screen. Marang's still 2 levels above Helper, who has been just kind of emergency farming where possible. Looks like he'll try to balance his armor and HP purchases with some magic resist. Still has none completed, but imagine the Ruby Crystal's going into something like a Spirit Visage. You see Draven or Syndra on the screen, that is where the action starts. What we know so far.
It's also just a safety net for either side. Start moving around the map a bit more aggressively if they can spot those carries.
One-shot potential still there with the Void Staff. Marang trying to get aggressive vision, but can't contest control wards with where the game's at right now.
Marin just trying to take away as much as he possibly can. Moves over for the red buff. Gets that one out. Taunt comes through. Do they want to try to collapse onto this? The stun comes down, and Septon finds the kill, his 5th of the game. 5-1-3 on the Syndra. And now a red buff, just to make him that much more of a nuisance.
I mean, you can say that he bought time for Afreeca to go top, but again, the reality of not giving any coverage from Marin means that either he has to be less aggressive with his split pushing, or they need to ward up for him.
They're going in deep for this one. Missile Voyage coming through with the Shen ultimate on top.
They cannot mess up around Kramer.
Trying to wrap around. That's a double stun coming through. Sonic Wave comes down in onto Spirit, dashes over, looking for Tucson is Malrong. Gets a bit of damage thrown down onto the Thresh. Doesn't quite predict which way he's going to move, so the Sonic Wave doesn't come through for a second time, and this is Ever8 losing time that they can have on the Baron.
They turn onto it now. Baron damage is decent on their side, but now we're going to see Afreeca with the contest.
12 seconds here on Marin, still has the TP available, and there's a ward in the pit that has not been cleared. Weaver's Wall comes down, cutting them off inside the pit. Septon gonna have to do some nice gatekeeping. The hook going wide. Baron goes low. Malron able to finish this one off, and now Spirit walking forward, but has to kite out of there as best as he can, but he does not get anything. Goes down in the exchange, and Septon finds another kill. Now Malron coming in from the sideline. Will dash forward, getting locked down immediately. Gets a riposte off, but still can't mitigate enough. He gets taken out as Malron finds the kill. 2 dead on the side of Afreeca Freecs, and Ever8 winners come up with the Baron.
Yeah. Fiora only a pseudo frontliner, and even though the hook landed on Caitlyn, she could flash defensively. No one else could get there. So you felt the hype of a sick hook, but not actually the reward. And you get out with the Baron buff if you're Ever8. And suddenly, the game plan of Afreeca Freecs kind of falls apart because split pushing against the strong siege and Baron buff on the side of Ever8 winners is going to be impossible to pull off. We're going to see the replay, the control ward in a great spot. They knew what was happening to the Afreeca Freecs. You can see Spirit coming in, ghosting in, but the smite is true from the side of Ever8. They just take out Spirit. And you could think, okay, they lost the objective, they're going to back out. They really were feeling this. Marin made the clean call to go in, but a hook onto Caitlyn and no Dark Passage means that no one else is going in. And how many auto attacks does Kramer get off this fight? The answer was 0.
And now in onto this tier 2 turret in mid.
There's no wave clear.
There's nothing that they can do. Baron empowered minions means that Kuro is going to just be throwing pebbles at them instead. So strong push coming through. Doesn't look like they'll be able to get too much more without another minion wave coming through, but top lane getting moved up by helpers. There's still plenty of options here for Ever8. To continue to work around.
Pretty greedy on the side of Marin. He saw a massive wave bottom and went to take to that. That could have been a moment for Ever8 to push through the mid lane turret, but they back away. It has good pushing items, so we'll be able to get some more turrets down. And the team that kind of called themselves a free win, the team that anointed themselves as the 10th place team, is playing at a macro level that is just much higher than we could ever have hoped for. And they look like they know how to win, which for challenger teams like Spenu and Kongdu in the past has been a struggle.
Yeah. So already Ever8 being very strong out the gate.
Oh, look at the gold in the mid lane. 4,000 gold lead on the side of Syndra, whereas it feels like Furor is way ahead, but it's actually only about 600 gold.
Hasn't been that much.
Well, the self-counter pick, you can throw that one out. That's a Dade special. Kuro's doing his best Dade impression here.
I think next time maybe we'll see the Syndra get banned away.
Again, it was something they didn't need to kind of risk, was the Syndra pick. They got the reward, which to them was probably the Fiora, but now you're in this unenviable situation where, okay, well, we don't have any wave because we want to run Draven, so what can we run with wave clear? And is it the Draven pick's fault? Is it the Pictilia self-counter pick? It's kind of hard to say, but all in all, unless you execute on the 1-3-1, which Afreeca weren't able to, this is kind of the punishment that you deserve.
Yep. Nice sidestep there on the seismic shove. Septic keeping himself topped up with the go-ahead. Move forward, looking for that final tier 2 turret at the bottom side of the map.
They need Fiora to teleport in and
pushing forward. That's a hook coming down. Septic takes a little bit of damage, but Ella is there with the Devour to keep him safe. This duel pushes forward, trying to chunk out this turret as best as possible. Down to half HP at the moment, but out of melee minions. So this is just going to put a bit of a stop to it.
No melee minions, but a lot of melee champions and a lot of range on the side of Afreeca. So this is just pretty damn easy for the side of Ever8.
Yeah, we're just going to go ahead.
They don't even have a minion wave, and they're just like, well, we'll tank it up a bit. We're fine.
Oh, there they go. Finally able to take that one out. So 3 turrets coming through off of that Baron. A very nice investment from the side of Ever8, but now smash into the mid lane. Dark Passage comes down, just taking Marin away from that Abyssal Voyage, keeping him safe.
If you're ulting a mid lane Shen in this scenario, that's it's a bit of an emergency engage from Marin, just trying to create pressure somewhere so they just don't lose everything on the map.
Spirit's able to get the red buff. A minor victory so far from him. They're looking for a little bit more. Malrong gets locked up there by that hook, but still the Devour comes through, keeping him safe with the sun thrown down onto Spirit. Means they can't push forward for any more damage or any slows off of those axe throws. So Malrong able to get out of there safely.
Does mean they'll disengage. So many Fed damage dealers.
Oh,
Speaking of Fed damage
over
dealers,
the wall. That's going to be the unleashed power yet again from Septic. Just rips right through Spirit. Hot knife through butter. The Spirit Signature, the Spectre's Cowl is just not cutting it.
When a 4-item Olaf is hot butter, lets you know that the Syndra is unbelievably fed. The bus driver, as he was anointed, we were actually at the Ever8 Winners Gaming House, and we were told Septed is our bus driver. If you're not actually familiar with that expression, in Korea, the carry, the person who you're looking for to carry is the driver of the bus. The team is the bus driver is Septed, and the analogy is playing out perfect.
Well, I mean, they also said that they needed something a bit more faster pace, so maybe he'd be the taxi driver, and he's definitely put the foot on the accelerator.
You know
so
what?
far.
I'm going to reward Ever8, because they've played smartly, they've drafted smartly. They don't have to be a jet plane. They don't have to be a taxi. They can just be a normal bus, because I don't see a big difference between Ever8 and Afreeca when it comes to playing League of Legends. It was so, on paper it's there in terms of history. I mean, so many winners on the side of the Afreeca Freecs, of champions, of worlds.
I mean, they were 5th place team in spring.
They have superstars on the lineup, but when it comes to actually showing off 35 minutes of quality League of Legends, they've done it on occasion, but we've also seen a lot of games like this, so you want to have them on different tiers, but you kind of have to earn your tier again in summer, as KT found out yesterday, and how Afreeca Freecs are finding out in Game 1.
Yeah, 11-5. 5.4 thousand gold in the lead. Ever8 in a nice comfortable spot. Still one miraculous team fight from the side of Afreeca Freecs. Could turn the tide of this, but now Marn getting caught is just going to put a cork in that one. He goes down. All wrong, finding the kill. Says, you know what, Septed, you got to share these a little bit with the rest of us. So he takes one away. 5-0-3 on the Lee Sin. I
don't think Septed feels like he needs to share. This might be one of the greatest Champions debuts of all time. He has 100% kill participation. 7-1-5 on Syndra, who isn't necessarily known for high kill participation, but the game has revolved around the Syndra's power, and Ever8, they've gotten on that bus, and that bus is probably going to get them an inhibitor.
And look at this, the fast track into this mid lane. Still, it was Kramer and Tucson hovering around that top side of the map. Now the turret's down, the inhibitor's exposed. It's just going to be taken out by Ever8.
But there's no answer for Afreeca. They have one man down, they have low wave clear. Someone even looks at Kuro, he needs to disengage, and then the wave clear is gone. And Ever8, you haven't seen greed from them. That's the cool thing. That's the thing that you can really commend them for. Is they've been measured, they've been poised, which is, again, something you have to commend for a new squad. They're taking objectives and then backing away before Kramer can get 3 auto attacks, chunk someone out, and really change the course of a fight, because there really haven't been many 5v5 fights in this game at all.
Here we go. Weaver's Wall thrown down here by Kuro. A bit blind, but actually just cut Septed off from the fight. The rest of the team collapsing in from the top. Balrog goes down, gets the kick in straight onto Kuro, into the face of Septed, and he takes him out. Dark Passage will yank Spirit out to safety, but now with Kuro taking down, all of that poke damage that Afreeca need to rely on around this Baron is gone. They'll go ahead and start this one up.
Now let's see if Olaf goes for another Express engage, because this Baron's going down fast.
I mean, look at the trap line thrown down here from Duel, just trying to keep them gated out. Tucson goes low, one more hit would have finished them off. Ace in the hole comes through, but Kramer there to body block for his support. The best that he could offer in the moment, but Baron, yet again, over to Ever8 winners.
Yeah, clean Baron take, nothing Afreeca could do to answer it. Spirit already tried to Rambo in once before, and even with Syndra ult down, would have been taken out, so clean Lee Sin, clean macro, clean drafting. Ever8 winners. You thought you knew what to expect from Champions Summer. You saw, you know, the matches, you're like, yep, KT will win their first match. Long's got some rookies, yep. Afreeca Freecs, they were looking better, so they must be getting to the next gear. What we know is time to really quickly become very little, because reputations seem to be counting for less and less as the overall level of the teams continues to rise.
Yeah. Duel playing a fantastic support Caitlyn at the moment.
He's not needed. He's got to carry right next to him, Incepted.
He's just there for the traps.
Know your role, man. Sometimes you got to know your role.
You know, we thought going into this season it was going to be all about those, you know, hyper ADC carries. But Septed, he's putting a stop on that one. Says, you know what, I'm the carry now.
Look, he can look at his item builds and feel like he's a hard carry, but this is a bit of a cosplay of a hard carry. He's maybe got the items, but he certainly hasn't got the look because, as you say, 0-1-4, nothing to write home about. Malrung and Septed. It's been about the duo. We talked about how clean they were, how their understanding was playing around the mid lane and forcing Kuro behind. Kuro might have made it a bit easier with the self-counter pick, but let's focus on what's good, and that is Ever8. Feels like they're one push away from taking down game one.
Yeah, I mean, 2 inhibitors down. I mean, all those super creeps about to be piling into the base. Kramer desperately trying to clear out these waves in the top side of the map, but pretty soon Baron empowered and Elder Dragon empowered champions are going to be facing him. So seems like Ever8 might just be able to close this one out just past 40 minutes.
We can't 100% ink the contract because it is a 5.5 item Draven. There is still a fight where either Septed is caught or the team is not grouped as 5 that Afreeca Freecs win. Kramer does insane single target damage, but it feels like it kind of requires someone from Ever8 to be woefully out of position. And if they all have their flashes up, even the most picture-perfect Weaver's Wall can be flashed over. So, again, very difficult to see it happening, but when you have so many items on a Draven, the inevitability factor, it's only 99%. There's still that 1% where Draven wins the game.
Comes out over the wall. Very visible there for Ever8. They go ahead, peel back away from that one, keeping them safe. Marin pushing up towards that tier 2. Looks like he's going to go ahead and engage onto that one. TP's not quite available for him, so be a bit delayed for him to join them in the rest of the squad.
TP's down and he's out of mana, so you should feel no threat at all of a teleport gank if you're Ever8.
Mid lane wave being brought up. Weaver's Wall comes down, cutting off a couple members of Ever8 here.
Cuts off the minion wave, if you notice. That's pretty cool.
It does delay them a little bit there. So probably one of the best Weavers wall we've seen from Kuro so far during this game, but it's really just holding the inevitable, delaying it just a little bit here. As that turret does go down, looking for that third inhib now. Marin, just no way for him to push up, has to show so much respect to Septed and Malrong alike.
3 inhibitors down.
Yeah, Tucson still not able to find these death sentence. Needs to find a miracle hit in order to turn something around for Afreeca Freecs. Just does not seem likely. Now it's all about just waiting for these minion waves to crash.
Actually getting them to have 2 at the same time might be more of a difficulty though. The bot lane minion waves not coming. Mid lane still about 8 to 10 seconds down, so for now at least no threat on the turrets.
We're cheating forward, a couple hits coming through here from Duel, has those minions to the top side, still Baron empowered, so going to be a bit tankier. Mid lane inhib comes back up, they'll be able to take that out instantly. As the next couple waves get ready to come through, that first Nexus turret ready to go down. Next push forward, should see that one, maybe even more, maybe just the game here for Ever8. Pressure on, Hook comes down onto Helper, they're going to drop the box, he dashes away and the Devourer is there, but Ella gets knocked in by the seismic shove. Still makes it out safely with the flash. The first turret goes down as Joel finishes this one off. Tucson not going to connect onto that death sentence. Now it's do or die time. Accepted pushing forward, looking for some damage, trying to get rid of that Thresh, that pesky death sentence spot. Just desperately wants to lock down the Syndra. Won't be able to find it here. But now look at all those super creeps. 4 in this bottom lane wave getting ready to push forward.
Yeah, the desperation's there from the side of Afreeca. That much is clear.
Weaver's wall not quite going to cut off those super creeps, however, so they're still pushing in. Getting ready to eat those turret shots. Q comes over from Septed, chunks out Tucson. As they push in for the finish, that's going to be the ultimate coming out. Unleash power in on the Kuro, chunks him down to about half HP, but can't follow up for much more because the Devourer has to come down. Now Marin and Spirit pushing forward, looking desperately for a kill onto the carriers, but they're cutting back into the back line so effectively. Now flashing forward as Duel finds the double kill, finally putting some kills on the board for himself. Will not finish with 0, but they will close out the game. 43 minutes just about from Ever8, tripling the kills of Afreeca Freecs.
And the curveballs in the draw for Afreeca Freecs did not pan out, and the curveball in the game was the level of play from Ever8. They looked significantly worse than, say, Jin Air, for example. They're very comfortably qualified for LCK Summer. It was much more toiling for the side of Ever8 winners, but you can see the team looks pretty jazzed, and they have a lot to be proud of because their preparation and just the level of clean macro, inspired play between Septed and Malrong. Ever8 winners, you wanted to put them in that 9th or 10th space box that previously Kongdu Monster occupied, and suddenly it's only a single game, it's only the start of the season, but there's a lot to like about the side of Ever8. And on the side of Afreeca, they tried a lot of things at once. Risky draft, low wave clear, the Draven and the Fiora at the same time, self-counter picking in mid lane, and they were put to the sword. So well played to Ever8. Not going to pass a judgment on either. We've got a lot of season ahead of us, but all you can do is commend Ever8 on how smartly they played game 1.
Yeah, we still have the rest of this match to go. Ever8 going to be looking to close things out with a 2-0, but Afreeca Freecs looking a bit flustered. Marin especially in the booth after that game, handed that big powerful pick for himself with that Fiora, but just couldn't find the impact in those late fights.
Yeah, they demanded the Fiora, picking it and then banning against it, but didn't really have a plan on making it win. He got the farm lead he wanted, he got the items he wanted, but never did we see solo kill on the top lane, a turret goes down. They toiled in many ways. I think you got to keep it simple if you're Afreeca. Just draft pushing lanes. Don't necessarily go for the 4-1. Go for a reliable draft, because kind of showing all these new Joker picks at once didn't come together.
Yeah, maybe not the Draven. We're going to go to a break though, guys. When we come back, we'll have game 2.